This is Iyabo E Kwayana. You came all the way from Boston to watch this magnificent short film of yours. It's called, the interview is called By Water. It's based on a personal experience of yours. I'm going to just read the overview. Running with the idea my brother left on my voicemail, I decided to complete the story and continued to write the narrative, picking up where my brother left off and invoking a character based on my estranged brother as the hero of the story, and then taking him on an adventurous and healing journey. Through the narrative encounters with the physical spaces of his past, juxtaposed with audio accounts from our family members recalling important memories and wishes for my brother's well-being, this transformative journey culminates in catharsis for our hero. Is that all? Okay. That's very thorough and apocalyptic. Apocalyptic in Greece means also a lot of information. Okay, would you like to tell us your description of your story?
Hi, everyone. First, thank you so much for inviting me. And I love short films, and that's how I started making films. I grew up in San Diego, California, and they had an animation festival every year in La Jolla. And there were micro short films, but every category of short that you can imagine. And I was so inspired about the different types of stories that you can tell with that. So my film is really based on a voice note that my brother left me. He had disappeared for 4 years. He had been diagnosed with an illness, and he decided one day that he was going to leave our parents' house. And he's a very educated person, very intelligent, and he went to the streets of Los Angeles. And for years, I agonized about not being able to find him. And one day, out of the blue, from a phone that I did not recognize, he had left me a voice note about a movie idea that he thought I should make. And he knew that I was a filmmaker because I had gone to school and we're very close in age. So he hadn't been gone that long.
This message we are listening to during the film is his voice? Is the original message?
That is his voice, yes. So it was about a movie idea. It recounted some ephemeral interactions that he had, or this character had on the street with people that triggered memories, the character's memory. So I decided at the time to start making this film. I was teaching a film class called Docu-Fantasy at Dartmouth College, and that is a film that invites your own subjectivity and imagination into the creative process while making documentary film. So I decided to start that with my students. And through the process of initiating that, he ended up appearing. Someone found him. And so that really invoked a sort of journey of my own, because then I had to change the trajectory of like the ethics, because I thought I would never see him again when I started, and then now I had to like think, oh, what am I gonna?
So this influenced the outcome of your work.
Yes.
Are you satisfied with this outcome?
So I am learning a lot about art through every day, and I think I wouldn't say that I'm satisfied, because it was a ritual for me. It was a prayer for my brother. And the first time I saw it screened, I was feeling very tender emotionally. So it was less about how does it look, how does it feel. It was more so about the fact that it was still unresolved. It's still unresolved. It's still life. So the purpose then becomes not just to make an artifact of perfection, but rather to live inside the experience of the making of the art. And letting that experience inform and heal and give the time that it needs to work its magic in a situation.
Has your brother watched the movie?
My brother has seen still images from the film, but he doesn't want to watch it. But he has heard the voice note again. He laughed and thought it was funny. And when we premiered at Sundance, he was really happy. Yeah.
How difficult do you think it is when we have to, of course, all subjects regarding the creator is personal, but it's such a personal matter that speaks so much to you. How difficult it is to make it, to exceed your personal boundaries and make it ecumenical?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I found myself, again, I spoke about growth earlier, interrogating my praxis before, because I typically made films about other people. And in this case, especially when he appeared, I decided it was our story rather than, I didn't want to objectify him. And so through the process, I learned that I needed to expose, to be as vulnerable with him. And I had to ask him, is this still okay? I got an award to make the film, so I had to make sure it was still okay for him. Did he really want me to make the film? And yeah, so it's definitely a process of figuring out what those boundaries are and withholding, using the power of off-screen space or the imagination, and not spoon-feeding everything to the audience as a means of kind of incubating both of us and allowing certain things to be withheld, so that the audience also goes on a journey with us, and then we're not like expository.
Well, the narrative is amazing of your film, the narrative style. Would you like to talk about your technique? Because I think there are some, you would agree that there are some mixed techniques in the materialization of the project. Would you like to talk about the process?
Yes. I cannot make this interview without mentioning the animation team, whose labor really brought this film to life. So my director of animation, Charlotte B. Hong, is from Singapore, and then they worked with a lead animator, Iona Waller, Georgia Reed, and then I had a second unit director of animation, Mira Ram, and Joshua Davies. So I had to mention that. But the process was difficult because I was working with animators who were artists in their own right. So we had to come to a language that was common, that I felt fit the tone of what was to be expressed. And I was surprised because my animator came up with the idea, well, not the idea, I think the impulse of creating my brother as yellow, coloring him as yellow, bright yellow. And I still, to this day, I'm not sure why they did that, but I loved it. And towards the end of the film, I decided I wanted to color him a little bit more human-like. And
actually, I well received. I found it very, very successful choice. The color, for some reason, it stands out in a very incorporating way as well. It stands out, but also it's very, very well fitted to this to the style of the. I think it was a good choice.
Oh, okay.
The color.
Yeah, I thought that too, and that's kind of the nature of how we work together. It was a painful process, but in the end, it's almost like we were giving birth. There are a lot of films here about birth, so I think I can use that metaphor. But yeah, it was a process of bringing things from the intangible into the tangible, because a lot of those images came from my dreams that I had when I was disconnected with him. I had a lot of dreams about birds, and then when he showed up, he wouldn't talk, he would only whistle. And people told me, I didn't know that that was something that people use to communicate in different countries. And so someone said, you have to incorporate that. And so that's why there's a scene with him looking at the birds, and then he starts to whistle. So I didn't have also that much time to make the film, and I felt since I got an award for it, maybe if I hadn't gotten an award, I would have taken a little bit more time. But sometimes you don't have time, and you have to, you know, deliver.
Yes, we all need more time. What are your future plans?
Right now, I'm making a film. I'm making a couple of films. One is called Black Pearl. It's about the ontological Black experience in going from Bahia all the way, seeing Bahia as the South of America and going all the way up to the actual South of Georgia and South Carolina. And it's about rituals of communion and congregation. So it starts off, and there's an homage to Jorge Amado, who wrote Marmoto, Black or Dead Sea, Sea of Death. And there's a character that's reading some passages from that. And then we go to the festival of Yamonya, in which people pay homage to this goddess of the ocean. And it's really about the fisher people and the...
it's like a docu-film?
Yeah, it's a docu-film in the style of Wiseman, in terms of like creating these spaces and exploring the spaces rather than sticking in one location. So, yeah. And so it's non-linear and it kind of flows in and out. Oh, sure.
I will edit it.
Sure.
Yeah. This nice interruption.
So it's in the form of, in the tradition of, I incorporate more of myself rather than being purely ethnographic. And I nod to Trinh Minh Ha, the Vietnamese ethnographic filmmaker that kind of rigorously interrogated ethnographic filmmaking as problematic in some ways. So I try to let my movement, like my body and my subjectivity, read across. It is live action as well. But it's non-linear and it floats in and out of different locales and connects them through the theme of those who love the sea, the coastal people that are being displaced in some ways because of climactic urgency that we have now.
Well, it surely sounds very interesting. We're looking forward to having this work of yours. It's going to be a short film or a feature?
It's going to be a feature.
I'm sure.
But
I'm going to say that.
Yeah, but
I have a feature section in the festival.
But I look forward to coming back to this film festival. I love it.
Invite you next year.
And I already made a friend too.
Really? That's good.
Several filmmaker friends, and then a local friend that lives here.
So you teach film studies, yes?
I film production and some hybrid studies and production.
Maybe we can find a way to incorporate you to the next year's jury committee.
Would love that.
Okay, that's a plan then. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It was a very interesting interview. We will have the opportunity to watch